and this is the last in our series on the PPP loan forgiveness guidance that we have just received. Today we're going to talk about the documentation requirements. So let's go to my trusted outline, which again, as I've said before, is going to be on our website. There are two kinds of documents that you're going to want to keep. One is those that will be required for submission to your bank. Your bank is the agency that will be reviewing your forgiveness application and making a determination. So there is the required for submission, and then there is items that you don't have to submit, but that you do have to keep in case it's asked for at a later date. Okay, so let's cover this real quickly. Required for submission. So the first part is payroll. And of course, what they're going to try to figure out is how much did you pay? You're going to try to certify how much was your payroll costs. So this first item, it says you could either have bank statements or payroll, third-party payroll service provider reports. That could be ADP, paychecks reports, those kind of things. They may and will likely ask for tax forms. That would be your 941s or maybe even your unemployment filings for the covered period and may overlap the covered period. And then, of course, in some cases, they may ask for payment receipts, canceled checks, account statements, documenting, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the payroll costs, okay? How about non-payroll costs? Remember, we talked about that in the second video where we talked about the rent, the other forgivable portion, which would be rent, mortgage, interest obligations, and utilities. Here's what they would be looking for that you will have to submit to ask for forgiveness for payments of these items. The first would be documentation verifying the existence of the obligation prior to February 15th, 2020. Okay, so that's number one. And for what? Well, for a big business mortgage interest, a copy of the lender authorization schedule or some sort of canceled checks verifying the payments during the covered period. Lender account statements, et cetera. So some sort of a statement that you can provide to your bank. The second would be lease payments, right? So a copy of the current lease agreement, obviously, and you want to make sure that that lease agreement was dated before Feb 15 of 2020. Maybe a landlord account statement for 2020 that identifies the payments that were made during that covered period. And for utility payments, copies of invoices from February 2020 through the covered period so that you can prove that those payments were made and they actually were incurred. Okay, how about FTE? You're going to need some documentation showing the average number of FTEs during these various periods here. And you're going to have to provide that documentation, so how you did that calculation to your lender. And they have to correspond, and this is basically saying that the calculations have to correspond to the time period in which you paid the payroll you're looking for forgiveness for. So those are the main things that are going to be required for submission. There are other documents you're going to want to keep in the background. You may not need to submit them, but you do want to keep them. You're going to want documentation supporting the listing of each individual employee, supporting the listing of each individual employee on Table 2, Table 1. This is the tables are referring to the forgiveness loan application, the actual form itself, which is also on our website. Documentation regarding any employee job offers and the subsequent refusals, and other items here. You can sort of read through it. I'll let you sort of take a look through that. Again, this is on our website, so if you want to refer back to it, you can easily do that. So that is it, right? So over the course of the 4 videos, this is what we've covered. We've covered the eligible payroll costs, what the words paid and incurred means, and how you can calculate your payroll. And they give you 2 options. One is the normal payroll period, or you can use this alternate covered payroll period. And then we talked about sort of what's included, everything from cash compensation to the employer portion of health insurance, retirement plans, that sort of thing. Then we talked about the non-eligible payroll costs, which was the interest, the rent, and the utility payments during the covered period. And then the calculation of FTEs, the full-time equivalents, which we talked about in our 3rd video. So that kind of wraps it up. I hope all of this makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Don't hesitate to reach out to us because we're happy to answer those questions. You can email any one of us here at Landmark, or you could call us at 978-984-5425, or you can look us up on the web and find all our stuff there. That's lmfsg.com. Okay, thanks.